In this movie, we're going to cover patterning. We're going to do linear patterning as well as circular patterning. Now, patterns can be made from individual parts or sub-assemblies or even top-level assemblies. You can pattern just about anything you'd like. If you look at this example here, this is one we finished in a previous movie, and we kept adding individual sub-assemblies to this and adding relationships. You can look down here, we've got a lot of relationships we added to locate each one of these little jars. Now, instead of doing all that work of adding a new one in, mating it up to all the different references, we've got a bunch of holes here that could take quite a while. But think about if we had hundreds of holes that we needed to put jars in. That would really take a long time. So instead of doing that, why don't we go ahead and use a pattern instead? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold down Control and just select those three right there, and we're going to get rid of those. So I'm just going to hit Delete and Yes to all. Now I'm going to select that one. Keep in mind, this is a sub-assembly, so there's actually three parts inside of here. And I can either pick one of the parts individually, or I can pick the whole sub-assembly, no problem. Click on the sub-assembly, and then click up here under Linear Pattern. So linear pattern works almost identical to patterning in the part level. First thing is, which direction do we want to pattern in? And I'm going to select any edge going in that direction. I'm going to pick that edge there. And then it's asking you the spacing between the parts. And I believe it's 4 inches here. And we're going to say how many we want. And there it is. So as soon as I click on 2, there we've got our next pattern there. You can see we've got all 3 parts in there. And it's as easy as just going 1, 2, 3, 4. More patterns. We got 5 across that way. And then same thing with direction 2. Pick that top edge. And like I said, you can pick any edge going in that direction. I could pick this edge back here if I wanted to. Or you'd even draw a sketch if you wanted a pattern going in a different direction. I'm just going to pick this edge here and put the same spacing of 4.0. And then take a look. Notice we're going the wrong direction. I can just flip that with the arrow here. And there we go. So we've got 3 going that way, 5 going that way. And just that quickly, we've established our pattern. Now, if we wanted to remove an instance from there, first off, in here, we've got the components we're patterning, which is that a subassembly. And then down here in instances, if you click in this box, it gives me this little purple dot on each one. If I want to get rid of any one of those, I could just randomly remove some of the items if I wanted to. And they show up here as far as kind of matrix level, 3rd row, 2nd column, 4th row, 2nd column kind of thing. So if you want to bring them back, just delete them out of this box here, and then they'll pop back in. Click on OK, and there it is. Just that quickly, we've got a nice linear pattern laying up all these parts. And we've got a very simple tree here. We've got the original base, and then we've got that subassembly. And then below mates, notice in the mates, you only have 2 mates in this whole assembly. Pretty cool. And then the linear pattern here, and all those new parts are under there. And if I wanted to, I could actually suppress that entire thing to hide them all if I wanted to. I can bring them all back, and I can also go in here and edit that. I can change the spacing if I wanted to, or remove certain items out of that group. A lot of power in one simple command. Click OK, and there we are. Okay, now I'm going to jump over to the circular pattern, and I have a file open here called 11.6-2. And this is just a plate. Now, what we want to do is we want to circular pattern this one around. So I've got 1/4 of a enclosure kind of laid out, and I just want to take that, instead of having to make it 4 different times or assemble it all together, makes it really easy just to go ahead and pattern that around. For circular patterns, what we need is a axis of rotation. So before we can pattern things around, I need to add that axis in. It's the same way we've been doing it before. I'm going to go up here to Reference Geometry, and I'm going to say we need an axis. And the 2-plane method is probably going to work out best for us. And I'm going to pick let's see what we got here. We got the top plane and the right plane are the ones that are intersecting here for us. And so that's going to be right in the center of that shape. And you have to pick these planes dependent upon how you drew your original sketch. So this one was drawn on the front plane, so this is why we have to pick that pair. So just take a look at it in the drawing view to make the correct selection. Click on OK, and now we've got an axis to view around, and I'm going to make sure we're viewing our axes. There it is. And there's our part we want to move around. So same thing, under linear pattern, there is a thing called circular pattern. And as soon as I jump into this, first question it's going to ask me is what axes? There it is. And then second one is, what's the component we want to pattern? I'm going to select it here. I always try to select things from the tree versus from the drawing window. So I'm picking that pattern there. And notice you can see a little representation. Right now it's giving us a 15 degree, and there's 2 of them. We probably prefer to have equal spacing, so it's going to put it on the other side, and we actually want 4. So as you see, As we add those up, it just adds one more, adds one more. We spin it around, and same thing, we can always remove an item if we wanted to take one of those out of the grouping, but we don't in this case. Click on OK. And it's as simple as that. We've generated a circular pattern of these parts, and we can do that with as many parts as we want. And we can also go back just like we did with the linear pattern. Under here are the parts. We can suppress these if we don't want to see them for a second. Bring them back. We can edit this pattern here just by clicking on Edit Feature, and we can change things around in a lot of different ways here if we wanted to change it through a different angle or a certain amount of instances we wanted to put in there. So a lot of power, again, in a very simple to use command. So there you have it for the linear pattern and the circular pattern. Patterning can save a lot of time and provides an easy way to modify the spacing and quantities of parts or subassemblies. If you find yourself adding more than a few of the same item to your assembly, maybe a pattern can help out.